Ngozi woke with a strangled gasp, drenched in sweat. The dream still clung to her, vivid and suffocating. The ghostly maiden had spoken, whispered, wailed, and then screamed for vengeance. Ngozi had seen it all in her nightmare. The maiden, bound and trembling, dragged through the village square. The elders had accused her of sorcery. The crowd had jeered, and then, with cold finality, a sharpened blade was drawn across her throat. Blood had soaked the dusty ground, seeping into the crimson beads around her neck, the very same necklace Ngozi now wore. She scrambled out of her bed, her fingers clawing at her throat. She wanted to rip it off, but as always, it refused to budge. The moment her hand touched the beads, a burning pain seared her skin. A whisper slithered through the air, calling around her ears like smoke. Blood must pay for blood. Ngozi whirled around, her heart hammering. The room was empty, but the air felt thick, watching, waiting. The ghostly maiden was no longer content with whispers. She wanted blood. The next morning, Ngozi avoided mirrors. Every reflective surface in the house had become a window into another world, one where the maiden's hollow eyes stared back at her, accusing and unblinking. In the bathroom, she covered the mirror with a towel before stepping into the shower. When she emerged, the towel was gone. The mirror dripped with red streaks. And in the center, scrawled in an uneven hand, I am watching. Ngozi stumbled back, shaking. The moment she blinked, the message was gone. The mirror was clean, but she could feel it, the weight of unseen eyes pressing on her, suffocating. She would not sleep that night. Her sister called, her voice sharp with concern. Ngozi, are you okay? You sound different. I'm fine, Ngozi snapped, massaging her temples. You haven't come to see Mama in weeks. She's asking for you. Ngozi hesitated. She had meant to visit, but time had slipped away in a haze of fear and sleepless nights. And now the idea of stepping out of her mansion, of facing the world beyond her cursed walls, felt impossible. I've been busy, she said coldly. There was a long silence. This isn't like you, her sister finally said. Please come home. Ngozi hung up. She could not go home. She could not let her family see the shadows creeping around her. At a high profile charity gala, Ngozi plastered on a dazzling smile, drowning in the comfort of her wealth and power. Cameras flashed, guests gushed over her emerald gown, her effortless beauty, her rising influence. Then, from the crowd, an elderly woman stepped forward. Her back was bent with age, her eyes clouded yet sharp. You, she rasped, you wear the necklace. Ngozi stiffened. The woman pointed a shaking finger at her throat. It is cursed. It will consume you, as it has all before you. A hush fell over the crowd. Ngozi forced a laugh. Excuse me? Return it, the woman's voice rose, hoarse and desperate, before it is too late. Security moved in, dragging her away. But as the woman was pulled from sight, she shrieked her final warning. You cannot escape her! Blood must pay for blood! Ngozi turned back to the crowd, flashing her most confident smile. Ladies and gentlemen, she said smoothly, some people will say anything for attention. The guests chuckled. The tension broke, but inside her hands were trembling. By midday, the whispers followed her everywhere. That night, she sought out a historian, a man rumored to know the old ways, the forgotten stories. The moment she stepped into his candlelit study, he paled, his eyes flicked to her neck, and he took a step back. You wear the cursed beads, he whispered. Ngozi lifted her chin. Tell me how to break it. The historian hesitated, then reached for an ancient text. He flipped through brittle pages, his expression grim. There is a way, he admitted, but it will cost you greatly. How much? The historian looked at her, his eyes deep with knowing. More than you are willing to give. Ngozi met his gaze, steel in her voice. Try me. The historian explained that the necklace was bound by blood. A sacrifice must be made to sever the bond. A sacrifice? Ngozi echoed, frowning. What kind? The historian shut the book with a sigh. One equal to the wealth it has given you. The beads belong to the maiden's land. She was buried unceremoniously, forgotten. You must return them and honor her properly. Ngozi laughed, the sound sharp and bitter. And if I refuse? The historian hesitated. Then it will take from you. It meant traveling back east to an ancient Igbo village deep in the forest, a place where the maiden's people once thrived. That night, as she lay in bed, the beads around her neck tightened. Ngozi shut up, gasping for air. The necklace constricted, burning into her skin, strangling her. She clawed at it, her nails digging into her own flesh, her vision blurred. And then, just as she thought she would lose consciousness, it loosened. A breathless whisper filled the air. Blood must pay for blood. Ngozi fell back, coughing, her hands trembling. The ghostly maiden would not wait much longer. The next morning, the walls of her mansion bled. Mirrors shattered, chandeliers swayed, though there was no wind. The floors creaked under unseen footsteps. The ghostly maiden was no longer content with shadows and whispers. Ngozi could feel her everywhere now, pressing against her, breathing down her neck. She was out of time. She had to make a choice, blood or everything. Ngozi's erratic behavior did not go unnoticed. Her assistant, Ifeoma, noticed first. The once poised socialite had become erratic, snapping at employees, vanishing for hours, and murmuring to herself when she thought no one was listening. Ifeoma found Ngozi staring into mirrors for long hours, her lips trembling as if whispering to something unseen. At first, she thought it was stress, but then she saw the bruises, deep crimson marks around Ngozi's neck, as if invisible hands were tightening around her throat. Ngozi brushed off the concerns, but Chike, her driver, was just as uneasy. On several occasions, he swore he saw someone in the backseat when Ngozi was alone. The scent of decay filled the car, and the engine failed at random, especially when Ngozi was on her way to withdraw money from the bank or finalize new business deals. At a family gathering, her sister Nenna frowned as Ngozi flinched away from an innocent touch. Ngozi, you're not yourself. What's wrong? Nothing, Ngozi snapped, her voice sharper than intended. Just mind your business. Her mother sighed. This world is changing you, Ngozi. You don't even come to church anymore. You should pray. Ngozi rolled her eyes. Prayer won't solve anything. As the conversation soared, Ifeoma, her assistant, hesitated before speaking. Ma, maybe you should rest. You haven't been yourself lately. Ngozi turned on her with a glare. Do I pay you to give me advice? Silence filled the room. One by one, her family exchanged looks, realizing something was terribly wrong. The sacrifices began subtly. A business rival was found dead in his home, blood pooling around his mouth. A servant in Ngozi's mansion slipped down the staircase, her neck snapping on impact. Ifeoma's younger brother, whom Ngozi had never met, was hit by a car days after she rejected a charity proposal. The blood debt was being paid, whether she accepted it or not. Wealth continued to flow in. Ngozi's businesses flourished, her name dominating headlines, but each new success came at a cost. Someone in her circle would suffer, and the maiden's whispers only grew louder. One night, Ifeoma found Ngozi in her bedroom, trembling. The walls dripped with dark red liquid, blood or something like it. They won't stop, Ngozi whispered. She won't stop. Who? Ifeoma demanded. Ngozi turned to face her, and Ifeoma gasped. Deep, shadowy fingerprints marred her throat. I have to give her what she wants. Ifeoma took an uneasy step back. Her pulse pounded in her ears. Ngozi, what are you saying? Who is she? What does she want? Ngozi's eyes darted around the room, wide and wild. The air grew heavy, suffocating. The scent of decayed flowers filled Ifeoma's nostrils, and a chill slithered down her spine. Suddenly, the bedroom mirror fogged over. A shape moved behind Ngozi. Ifeoma's stomach twisted in terror. Ngozi, we need to leave, now! But Ngozi didn't move. Her lips parted as if she were listening to something unseen. Then she let out a shuddering breath. She wants more blood, she murmured. Ifeoma's blood ran cold. More. Ngozi, what have you done? Ngozi's fingers dug into her arms. I tried to stop it. I really did. She let out a strangled sob. But I can't anymore. It's too late. A sharp gust of wind tore through the room, slamming the door shut. The lights flickered violently, casting eerie shadows across the walls. Then the whisper came, soft and haunting, calling around Ifeoma's ears like a breath from the grave. Leave, or you'll be next. Ifeoma's scream caught in her throat. She stumbled backward, scrambling for the door. Her hands trembled as she twisted the knob, but it wouldn't budge. Ngozi remained still, staring blankly at the mirror where the faint outline of a sorrowful, spectral maiden took shape. A single tear rolled down Ngozi's cheek. She's already chosen. Ifeoma's breath hitched. Chose? For what? Ngozi finally turned to her, eyes dark with something unreadable. For sacrifice. Ifeoma's stomach clenched. Sacrifice? Her voice was barely above a whisper. Ngozi nodded slowly, her gaze drifting back to the mirror where the ghostly maiden loomed. The room felt tighter, as if the walls were closing in. The air was thick with something unseen but oppressive. I can't fight her anymore, Ngozi murmured. She's stronger now. She takes what she wants. Ifeoma's pulse pounded in her ears. No, this isn't real. She pressed her hands against her temples, willing herself to wake up from this nightmare. But then the whisper came again, louder this time, echoing from every corner of the room. A debt unpaid. Blood must spill. The mirror cracked. The sound splintered through the air like a gunshot. Ngozi staggered, clutching her throat as if invisible hands were squeezing her windpipe. Her eyes bulged. A gurgling sound escaped her lips. Ifeoma rushed forward, grabbing her arms. Ngozi! Fight it! You're stronger than this! Ngozi's fingers dug into Ifeoma's wrist, her nails sharp and desperate. It's too late. She's not letting me go. The lights flickered violently, and then silence. Ngozi's grip slackened. She gasped, her body convulsing, before she fell to her knees, her face twisted in agony. Ifeoma dropped down beside her, shaking her. Ngozi, look at me! You don't have to do this. A slow, eerie smile stretched across Ngozi's lips, but her eyes were not her own anymore. They were vacant, distant, like something else had taken hold. The maiden's voice, now fully formed, rasped through Ngozi's lips. Blood or death. The doors burst open, and a freezing wind howled through the room, knocking Ifeoma backward. Shadows danced across the walls, writhing, twisting. Ngozi slowly stood, her movements unnatural, like a puppet being controlled by unseen strings. Ifeoma's chest rose and fell in panic breaths. Ngozi, please! We can end this. Ngozi tilted her head, her expression unreadable. Then she turned away, walking toward her closet. With trembling hands, she pulled out a sharp, ceremonial dagger. Ifeoma's breath caught in her throat. Ngozi turned back to her, the blade glinting under the dim light. You should go, she whispered. Ifeoma scrambled to her feet, her heart hammering her chest. Ngozi, put that down! Ngozi's grip tightened on the handle. She won't stop. The only way out is blood. Ifeoma took a cautious step toward her. Then we'll find a way. I'll help you, please. Just drop the knife. Ngozi's fingers twitched. For a moment, something human flickered in her eyes. Then the ghostly maiden's whisper returned, crawling into the space between them. Blood or death? Ngozi's breath hitched. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm sorry, Ifeoma. Then she raised the blade. Ifeoma didn't think. She just acted. She lunged forward, gripping Ngozi's wrist with all her strength. The dagger hovered inches from Ngozi's own throat, her hands trembling as if fighting an unseen force. Let go! Ifeoma pleaded, her voice raw. This isn't you, Ngozi! Fight her! Ngozi's entire body jerked, as if she were a marionette whose strings had been pulled violently. Her lips parted, but her voice was layered. Hers and the maiden's, speaking as one. She is mine! Her debt must be paid. The pressure in the room intensified. The walls groaned. The windows rattled. A gust of icy wind sent papers flying from the desk, the air thick with the scent of decay. Ifeoma gritted her teeth and tightened her grip on Ngozi's wrist. No! You can't have her! She's still here. She's still fighting. Ngozi's head snapped toward Ifeoma, and for a fleeting second, the ghostly maiden's face superimposed over her own, a hollow, sorrowful visage twisted with rage. Then you will take her place. The shadows around them lunged. Ifeoma felt invisible hands seize her arms, yanking her backward with unnatural strength. The temperature plummeted. She gasped as her breath came out in white puffs. Ngozi convulsed, her body writhing as though trapped between two worlds. Her eyes darted wildly, as if waking from a nightmare she couldn't escape. Ifeoma gathered all the strength left in her and screamed, Ngozi! Listen to me! You don't owe her your life! The necklace does not own you! Ngozi let out a guttural scream. The dagger clattered to the floor. A force exploded outwards, sending Ifeoma flying towards the wall. The windows shattered. The lights flickered violently, then went dark. For a moment, there was nothing but eerie silence. Then Ngozi collapsed. Ifeoma struggled to her feet, her vision swimming. She staggered towards Ngozi, heart pounding. Ngozi! Ngozi's eyes fluttered open. Her face was drenched in sweat, her breath ragged. Her hands, now free of the unseen grip, trembled violently. Ngozi swallowed hard, her voice hoarse. I almost... Ifeoma pulled her into a tight embrace before she could finish. It's okay, she whispered. I won't let her take you. But even as she said it, she knew this was far from over. The spirit had retreated, but she hadn't left. The curse still lingered, and the price was still unpaid. After experiencing relentless hauntings, Ngozi finally confided in Ifeoma. She had resisted telling anyone for months, fearing they wouldn't understand, or worse, that they would think she had gone mad. But Ifeoma had already seen too much to deny what was happening. Ngozi whispered, She won't stop. Who? Ifeoma demanded, stepping closer. Ngozi turned to her, and Ifeoma gasped. Deep, shadowy fingerprints marred her throat, as if unseen hands had tried to strangle her. I have to give her what she wants, Ngozi choked out. Ifeoma seized her shoulders. Ngozi, you are not making any sense. Tell me what's going on. Who is doing this to you? Ngozi hesitated, tears welling in her eyes. She exhaled shakily. The girl from the necklace. She's not just haunting me anymore, Ifeoma. She's inside my head. She won't let me rest. She wants more, and if I don't give it to her... Ngozi's breath hitched, and for the first time, Ifeoma saw something she had never seen in her boss before. Pure, unfiltered terror. She'll take me, Ngozi whispered. She will consume me completely. Ifeoma tightened her grip. Then we'll fight this. We'll find a way to stop it. Ngozi shook her head. I've tried. I've paid priests, done rituals, even tried to throw it away. It always comes back. The only way out is to give her what she wants. Ifeoma's stomach twisted. And what is that? Ngozi hesitated. Then she whispered, "A proper burial." Ifeoma frowned. "What do you mean?" Ngozi steadied herself, exhaling slowly. The maiden, she was never properly laid to rest. She told me she wants her remains found and buried in her homeland. Ifeoma looked at her in disbelief. "And you're going to do that?" "Do I have a choice?" Ngozi whispered. With Ifeoma by her side, Ngozi sought out the truth behind the necklace's origins. Their search led them to an elderly historian in Anambra who pointed them toward a forgotten village deep in the forest. "It is a place of silence," the elder warned, "a place forsaken by time. The dead do not forgive so easily." Despite the warning, Ngozi was determined. She paid a hefty sum to a local guide, an elder who had once lived near the abandoned land. The journey was grueling. The deeper they went into the forest, the heavier the air became. Strange whispers rustled through the trees, and unseen eyes seemed to watch their every move. The guide stopped suddenly at a clearing. "I go no further," he said. "If you enter alone." Ngozi turned to Ifeoma. "Stay here." Ifeoma grabbed her wrist. "Are you insane? You can't go alone." "She wants me," Ngozi murmured. "Not you." Before Ifeoma could protest, Ngozi pressed forward into the heart of the ruins. The air was thick with an ancient presence. Then she saw it, the grave. It was an unmarked burial site, covered in ancient decayed beads. The earth beneath it felt alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. Ngozi knelt before it, her breath ragged. "I found you," she whispered. The ground trembled. The maiden appeared, her form flickering between sorrow and fury. "Bury me properly," she demanded. Ngozi clawed at the dirt with her bare hands, digging with a desperation fueled by fear and regret. She placed the cursed necklace in the soil, whispering an apology. But it was not enough. The maiden screeched. The ground cracked open, and an invisible force gripped Ngozi, pulling her down. "Ngozi!" Ifeoma's voice cut through the chaos. Through the swelling shadows, Ifeoma lunged forward, grasping Ngozi's hands just as she began sinking into the earth. "Let her go!" Ifeoma screamed. "You have what you want!" The maiden's eyes burned with spectral fire. "She belongs to me." "No, she doesn't," Ifeoma yelled. "You got your burial. The curse is over." The ghost hesitated, just for a moment. Ngozi, her face streaked with dirt and sweat, gasped, "Take it back! Take it all!" Darkness swallowed them both. Then silence. When Ngozi awoke, she was lying in the village square, the townspeople staring at her with weary eyes. The necklace was gone. The curse had been lifted, but at what cost? Returning to Lagos, Ngozi discovered that her world had crumbled. Her accounts were wiped clean. Her mansion was seized. Her businesses collapsed under scandal and lawsuits. Ifeoma had disappeared. Chike refused to answer her calls. Her mother and Inenna, her sister, refused to see her. The wealth she had sacrificed so much for was gone. She had nothing. Ngozi, once the queen of Lagos luxury, now wandered the streets unrecognizable, clutching at the scraps of a life she had lost. One evening, she passed by a jewelry shop, its display case filled with vibrant beads. Her fingers twitched. Then, in the reflections, she saw her. The ghostly maiden stood behind her, watching. Ngozi screamed, but no one heard. After that night in the village, Ifeoma vanished. Ngozi searched for her, calling her number endlessly, but it was disconnected. She went to her apartment. Empty. No trace of her remained. It was as if she had never existed. At first, Ngozi thought Ifeoma had abandoned her, cutting ties after witnessing the horrors of the curse. But something gnawed at her. Ifeoma wouldn't just disappear, not without a word. Days turned into weeks, and rumors began to swirl. Some said Ifeoma had left Lagos entirely, fleeing to the east to start over. Others whispered that she had been taken, that the maiden had claimed her instead. One night, in the depths of Ngozi's misery, she thought she saw Ifeoma again. She was standing across the street, beneath a flickering street lamp, watching her. Her eyes were hollow, her expression unreadable. Ngozi ran toward her. Ifeoma! She called. But as she crossed the street, a passing bus momentarily blocked her view. When it passed, Ifeoma was gone. Had she ever really been there? Or was this just another trick of the curse? Ngozi would never know. In the end, the Crimson Curse is more than a tale of horror. It is a warning, a lesson carved in blood and regret. Ngozi's relentless pursuit of wealth and power led her down a path of darkness. And though she was warned, her pride and greed blinded her to the truth. The past never stays buried, and those who build their fortune on the sufferings of others will one day pay the price. The supernatural is not to be trifled with, and power without limits only leads to destruction. Ngozi believed she could control the curse, but in the end, it consumed her, stripping her of everything she held dear. Wealth is fleeting, but the consequences of one's choices are eternal. If only she had listened. If only she had let go before it was too late. But greed is a powerful thing, and as her empire crumbled, she learned the most painful truth of all. When you make a pact with darkness, the debt must always be paid. And so the crimson necklace waits once more, its curse unbroken, seeking its next victim. Because as long as there are those who will do anything for power, the cycle will never end. Thanks for watching. Please do remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for more contents like this. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Bye.